Listen closely, because everything your bank told you about your emergency fund is a calculated lie designed to keep you broke. You've been conditioned to stash $10,000 in a sad, stagnant savings account, feeling smug, feeling safe. But while you're sleeping soundly, that money is actively dying. Inflation is eating its purchasing power, and the bank? They're using your cash to make themselves rich while paying you peanuts. It's a rigged game. I used to be that guy. I had my 6 months of expenses sitting in a dusty digital vault, thinking I was winning at life. Then I looked at the actual math and realized I wasn't being responsible. I was being exploited. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you why the standard financial advice you hear online is actually a trap meant to keep your capital trapped in their ecosystem. We aren't just going to fix your savings. We are going to dismantle the entire concept of the emergency fund and rebuild it for wealth generation. I'm going to show you the exact strategy I used to turn that idle cash into a growth machine that doesn't just sit there. It works for you. No more fear. No more complacency. We're moving from survival mode into absolute control. You're currently losing money every single day. Your emergency fund isn't optimized for the current environment. If you want to stop being a pawn in their system, keep watching, because what I'm about to reveal will change how you view your bank account forever. The standard advice is always the same. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. Let's break down why that advice is total garbage in today's high-speed economy. First, that magic number, 6 months of expenses. Where did it actually come from? It's completely arbitrary. It assumes your entire life is a binary switch. You are either fully employed or totally unemployed with zero safety nets. But you aren't a robot. You have alternative skills, maybe side hustles or assets. That cash pile isn't an emergency fund. It's an anxiety fund. It's there so you can feel a warm, fuzzy feeling when you sleep. But here is the secret the banks are terrified you'll realize. That feeling is expensive. The cost of safety is astronomical. When you keep $20,000 or $30,000 sitting in dead cash, you are effectively paying the bank to take your money. Let's look at the opportunity cost. If you have that cash just sitting there, you are missing out on guaranteed growth elsewhere. The gap between what your bank pays, you, maybe 0.5% if you're lucky, and what you could get, even in a safe, low-yield environment is hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars per year. We are moving from mere survival to actual growth. Keeping all that money cash-heavy is the definition of a defensive loser strategy. The real emergency isn't losing your job. The real emergency is realizing you've been losing thousands of dollars to opportunity cost for decades. We are not protecting. We are deploying. This is math, not emotion. Most people treat their money like a bunker. They hide it, hoping the world doesn't touch it. I treat my capital like a professional athlete. If it's sitting on the bench, it's not doing anything for the team. We need to restructure this. Your emergency fund shouldn't be one stagnant pile of cash. That's amateur. You need a tiered system. Think of it like a professional investment structure. The liquid tier, the strategic tier, and the growth tier. Most people put everything in the liquid tier because they're scared. That's why you're broke. When you build the right architecture, you keep only enough in the liquid tier to handle real, immediate emergencies, like a car breakdown or a sudden vet bill. The rest? It moves into the strategic tier, where it earns a decent return, and then into the growth tier, where it actually builds your wealth. When you look at the elite, they never keep large amounts of unproductive cash. They keep liquid assets, not just currency. There is a massive life-altering difference between cash and liquidity. Cash is dead weight. Liquidity is the ability to pivot capital quickly when an opportunity hits. By keeping your money trapped in a traditional bank account, you aren't being safe. You are being inefficient. And in a high-interest, high-inflation environment, inefficiency is the fastest way to stay stuck in the middle class. Stop treating your money like a museum piece. It's a tool. Start building the architecture that forces that tool to work as hard as you do. Here is where the financial experts fail you. They equate accessibility with safety. They tell you that as long as you can withdraw your cash from an ATM, you are safe. That is a dangerous simplification. You need to distinguish between dead cash and liquid assets. Dead cash is that $20,000 sitting in your checking account, losing value every hour. A liquid asset is something that holds value, potentially appreciates, but can be converted into spendable cash within days, not months. The goal is not to have a pile of paper. The goal is to have the agility to handle a crisis without sacrificing your future growth. If your money is locked in a standard savings account, you're losing. If your money is in a high-yield instrument or a money market account, you're at least playing the game. Most people are terrified of the word investment when it comes to their emergency fund, so they settle for 0.01% interest, while the bank lends that same money out for 7%. It's predatory, it's outdated, and if you're still doing it, you are the one funding the bank's expansion while your own net worth flatlines. We aren't looking for risk-free. Nothing is risk-free. We are looking for risk-adjusted. When you understand the difference, you stop being a victim of the banking cycle. You start treating your liquidity with the same scrutiny you'd apply to any other business asset. It's about movement, it's about yield, and it's about finally taking your power back. Let's talk raw numbers because your emotions are costing you a fortune. Most people treat their emergency fund like a security blanket. I treat mine like a tactical reserve. If you have $30,000 in a standard savings account earning basically zero, you aren't saving, you're donating. Let's do the math on the 2026 rate environment. If you shift that same $30,000 into an optimized, high-yield structure, I'm talking about a mix of high-yield savings and short-term, liquid instruments, you're looking at a completely different outcome. Even at a modest conservative yield, you're talking about generating hundreds, potentially over $1,000 a year in passive return. That isn't just extra money. That is your subscription services paid for. That is your car insurance covered. That is your gym membership taken care of. Do you see the trap now? By keeping that cash in a safe account, you aren't just losing the interest. You're forcing yourself to pay for your own lifestyle out of your active income instead of letting your capital handle it. The elite don't pay for their lifestyle from their sweat. They pay for it from their yield. When you optimize this $30,000, you're essentially creating a permanent employee that works 24/7, never complains, and pays you for the privilege of existing. This is the shift from a saver mindset to an investor mindset. You're stopping the bleeding and starting the engine. It's time to stop letting your money be lazy. You might be thinking, but what if the market crashes? That is the ultimate fear-mongering tactic used to keep your money in the hands of the bank. Look, I'm not telling you to throw your emergency fund into high-risk crypto or speculative stocks. That's how you actually lose your principal. I'm talking about calculated, defensive, yet yield-producing liquidity. The psychology here is everything. When you have money in a standard account, you feel safe, but you're actually vulnerable to inflation. When you have your capital in an optimized, multi-tiered structure, you aren't just safe, you're in control. Control is the antidote to financial anxiety. When you know exactly how your capital is structured, when you know it's earning, and when you know it's accessible, the emergency aspect of an emergency fund disappears. You stop being a person who is one paycheck away from disaster, and you become a person who manages a portfolio. That mental shift is the most valuable asset you will ever own. It changes how you walk into a room, how you negotiate a raise, and how you view career risks. If you are terrified of an emergency, it's because you are underprepared, not because you don't have enough cash in the bank. Start building a system that doesn't just hold your money. It protects it, grows it, and gives you the freedom to move without hesitation. It's time to stop hoarding and start strategizing. So, how do we wrap this up? You stop looking at your bank account as a final destination. It is merely a starting point. By moving your emergency capital out of the vault and into a tiered, high-yield structure, you've stopped the decay. You've moved from a passive loser in the banking game to an active participant in your own wealth. Now, you've got a system where your money is earning while you sleep, covering your bills while you work, and keeping you liquid when you need to pivot. But here is the secret. The more you do this, the less you need the emergency label at all. Your capital becomes the engine that fuels its own growth, creating a loop where interest earned becomes new capital, which earns more interest. It's the ultimate financial hack, the compounding loop. You aren't just building a safety net anymore. You're building a fortress. And the beauty of a fortress? It's not just there to keep the bad stuff out. It's there to protect the treasures you're building inside. You've got the knowledge now. You know the banks were using your fear against you. You know that stagnant cash is a liability. So, what's your next move? You aren't going to just close the tab. You're going to open a new one and optimize your accounts. Don't wait for an emergency to realize you were unprepared. Build the system today and watch your wealth compound tomorrow. This is your life. Start running it like a business.